It really simplifies it when you get a message from your highest self and your spirit guides. It feels like a very clear, simplified answer, guidance, channel flowing through you, where the rest of the details just get taken care of. If you line up with the general connection to your highest self, which is the extension of source energy, funneling down through the crown chakra, going through the third eye of intuition, funneling down into all of your chakras, and finally grounding and rooting down into the material realm where your physical body exists. That embodiment, that alchemization process is much simpler than trying to figure it all out and overanalyzing and overthinking and making sure that you're taking care of all of the branches of the tree. And I use two different analogies which work very parallel. It's just how you want to look at it. So one of my analogies is you at the source of a river, which is a lake. And so if you're standing at the top of that source of the body of water that is going into the river, you're at a concentrated point where you can see very clearly if the dam breaks, if the water is somehow getting rerouted, how much water is in the reservoir, if it's low for a season or if it's higher than normal. And you can see what you're dealing with at a point of convergence that's very manageable. If you wait until that water flows down into a river, then down into the stream, and then down into the delta where it has thousands of different tiny little streams and avenues before it goes out into the ocean. If you were to think about the amount of energy that it would take to hop around and manage all of these different streams and make sure that that one is flowing and you have to down that one. Oh, no, shit, now that's flowing into, because water will always reroute. Same with life. Life goes on. The world doesn't stop. It'll always keep going. And so the amount of energy that it takes to manage all those different deltas when it is at a point where it's diversified into thousands of different streams, or take example, if that water were somehow to hypothetically turn into fire and now you're hopping around trying to manage all these little fires everywhere instead of getting to the root of the problem. If you were to extinguish the root of the problem and then there's no more subsequent flowing from that source. It's like if you dam the water source, that you're damming the water source. You're not going to get the river and the streams and the delta that runs in all different directions. You're taking care of the problem at the root. Often when I do sessions for people, I tune in to core wounds. And the core wounds, they live inside the bodies, they live inside the chakras, they live inside the cells that remember, that have a memory. The body keeps the score. The nervous system, the chakras hold a memory that shapes a person in who they are and how they interact with the world, how they view things, how they perceive things, their relationships. So it comes from a source wound, the lake, the reservoir, and then it goes into the river. And then before you know it, it bleeds into every single area of their life. And it can be a core wound of not feeling appreciated, or a core wound of feeling neglected, or being abandoned when you were little, or something that somebody once did to you that hurt you so badly that it shifted the way that you perceive the world. And then you've gone through life, and that core wound, that core belief system has now bled into all these different areas of your life. It affects your work. It affects your relationships. It reflects the way that you perceive things in the world and how you take things. If you take things personally, how you respond, how you react to things, how you blow up your relationships, how you're constantly wanting to move to different places and different locations, how you're not satisfied with where you're at. You see, it just blends and bleeds into all these different areas of life. Okay. So I'm like, instead of trying to go after every single one of these areas of your life and try to control what that person says about you, and try to, control that person doesn't leave you and they stay close to you, and then that person isn't cheating behind your back or lying to you or something like that. All of these different fires that you'd be hopping around trying to manage. If you go back to the core wound and you alchemize that core wound and you heal it, then it's a different flow from that. If this has previously, that wound has been life sucking energy, and you alchemize it and you heal it and you release it, then it becomes life-giving energy. And so what flows from that source is a completely different energy that goes out then. Then you can transform it and transmute it. It can then bleed into every area of your life and bless it. Instead of being at the bottom of that and trying to dam all these little things and trying to stop the water flow, and you're getting overwhelmed and overanalyzing things, and your brain dendrites are going out and connecting to every little thing, and you're very much in your head and you're very much in your overanalytical brain survival mode, like bing bing, I always have to be on. If I'm not controlling everything, then things are just going to get out of control. That's not a very centered place for you to be. But if you transmute the energy of the source wound, then it can have this beautiful, loving flow of energy that then it's not a problem if it flows. You want that energy to then flow into every single area of your life. You want that delta to go out to your relationships, to your job, the fulfillment, the satisfaction. You want that energy to blanket every last part of your life. Where you live, what your house looks like, who your community is, the company that you keep, the beautiful satisfaction, that the relishing in your existence in every single day. You want that energy to then bleed out and cover and blanket and infiltrate like gold into every single crack of your life to make it better, to enrich it, to make it everything flourish. Okay? This brings me to another analogy that I have when it's like a tree. So you have the roots, and then you have the trunk of the tree, and then you have the branches and the top of the tree and the crown and the leaves and everything that are at the top. Once it branches out to all the differentiations of the branches and the different twigs and all of the blossoms and the leaves and the flowers and all of that on a tree, you've branched out to the differentiation of everything. So sometimes when people operate just in the crown of the tree, they lose sight on the very simplistic one life force energy that needs to go up the root system of the tree and into the trunk to give life to the top of the tree. And I find that my clients, when they're too much in that connected to here, connected to there, connected to this, connected to that, connected to this, their brains literally energetically look like this dendrite system that's connected to everything outside of themselves. Everything outside of themselves. And it's very overwhelming. And I see a lot of people's crown chakra actually that looks like this. It looks like the top of the tree that is just connected to everything outside of themselves. And then they wonder why they feel disconnected, why they don't feel grounded. And I'm like, because we got to bring that energy back down into the tree trunk, going down into the tree trunk, rooting into the earth, just knowing that you are rooted and grounded, that you have all the resources that you need. And in that trunk is this formula that I'm going to show you, because I literally just wrote this down from a client session that I just got off the phone with. And so here's the tree diagram. Everything is backwards, sorry. Here's the tree diagram. There's the trunk. And here's the root system. This is the what should I do? Where do I go? What do I do? What's the right path for me? Trying to control these different things. That's like the outside of your self system. In the trunk, which I have blown up here, is what's your most fulfilling feeling? What fills your heart? What calms your soul? And the tree trunk is very simple. It is general intentions. What do you generally intend to feel in this life? What fulfills you? What lights your soul up? Instead of thinking the exact location of where you're going to feel this and what every single detail looks like and what the backdrop is and whether you want to live by the ocean or whether you want to live in the forest or whether you want to live in the city, you're like, forget all of that. What is your general intention? You want to feel safe. You want to feel peaceful. You want a community. You want a family. whatever your core values are, you're going to become, some of them are going to be completely different. Some people want to live out in the sticks with nobody around. That's their happiest. Some people love the city life, but like generally, if you don't know exactly where you want to relocate, as an example, take the most general intentions that you have of what's important to you, of your values. This is general connection to yourself and life force energy. The trunk of the tree does not differentiate into the branches and the leaves and the blossoms. It just doesn't do that in here. It does not differentiate in here. This is the connection to the life force energy that flows from the earth, a never-ending reservoir of energy of every living thing that gets rooted and seated in the earth. And that life force energy flows up into the trunk of the tree. It's very simple energy here. It's just life force energy. It's just nourishment. It doesn't differentiate into anything until it gets to up in here. A lot of my clients who are operating in the up in here, they often need to ground and root into simplifying instead of coming from a place of like, I don't know what to do. I don't know exactly what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what decision to make. And they're overanalyzing, and they're totally in their head, and they're totally outside of their bodies. They often need to ground back down into themselves. If it's not clear yet that the tree is you, you need to ground back into yourself. And at the very last little bit here, how do you do that? You give yourself 15 to 20 minutes a day to connect to the roots, to connect to this part of yourself. So this is like reverse engineering. How do you stop the delta from trying to dam all these different avenues of water or trying to put all these little spot fires and get back to the source? How do you do that? You recall your energy from everything that's scattered around here. You're in your head, you're outside of your body, you're trying to overanalyze and think about everything from a cerebral cortex POV. And you're going to bring all of that down and recall that back into your body and just focus, root it into your body, tune into your chakras, root down into, okay, I don't really care about the details. I don't have to know the details of everything that's going to happen. I don't have to try to control everything that's happening. I don't have to know everything that is going on the outside. However that blossom wants to blossom, whatever direction that twig wants to grow in, fine. I care about that nourishment and life force energy coming up through the trunk of the tree. So that's what's important to you. That's where generally you root down into yourself and you're like, okay, I let go of all the details, the filling in the every single little blank, because that's where I lose myself. These are the things that are the most important to me. This is what makes me feel the most fulfilled. This is where I would be my happiest self if these core things were in my life. And then I surrender to my highest timeline. So if these are my core desires and intentions and values, and I'm taking the time to connect into myself, block out the outside world, shut off the stimulation from the outside world, and spend 15 to 20 minutes a day tuning into myself, my eyes closed in meditation, shutting out the outer world and tuning into my inner world. That is a responsibility that I have. That is what I can do. I can connect with myself. I can give myself that 15 to 20 minutes a day to tune into my inner world. And the rest, I release up to source. The rest, I release up. I have lined up with my energy, and the rest, I release up to my highest timeline. And however source wants to fill in the blanks, however it wants to have every last little expression of every blossom on the tree, then that's just an extra. That's just a bonus. That's just the universe dazzling me and reflecting back to me my own beauty of like, holy shit, those are my blossoms. Okay. But your job is to take your energy out from a place of where you're going to be exhausted, where you're going to experience burnout, where it's too much for you to do. Root back down, get into the source, connect with yourself, and then that new energy, after opening your eyes from these 15 to 20 minutes that you give yourself, I swear that you will open your eyes after that 15 to 20 minutes a different person, because you have shifted your energy within you. You have connected with yourself. Whatever happens in those 15 to 20 minutes is up to you and source. But you will open your eyes a different person because you've shifted your energy, and you will be a more heart and head coherent, interdimensional being that will know from a more connected, a better place of alignment, because you took the time to get into alignment. And one last thing that I want to mention is that this also plugs into the other analogy that I use. When you do this 15 to 20 minutes at the beginning of your day, and usually there's a shift that happens around 10 minutes or 15. Some days it's 10, some days it's 15. But if you only give yourself 10 minutes, you might not get beyond that threshold. Because what happens when you first tune into your mind is that there's a bunch of chatter, and there's a bunch of, busyness, and a bunch of mind chatter. It takes about 10 minutes for that to slow down and for you to be able to shift into a deeper layer of connection with yourself. Sometimes 15 minutes. Okay? But when you do this at the beginning of your day, you're a different person coming out of that meditation than you were coming in, and you're lining up with source energy. And what that is, essentially, another analogy, is that you're plugging in your vacuum cleaner to vacuum your house. If you did not plug your power cord of your vacuum cleaner into the wall, and you started going about your day and you were vacuuming your entire house, you vacuumed behind the cabinets, behind the dressers, you did under the couches, you did under the bed, you picked everything up off the floor, and you did a super thorough job vacuuming everything, but you never plugged your vacuum cord into the outlet, you've got no power. So you've just been going around your house with your vacuum doing the motions, but you have no power. You haven't lined up with the source of power to suck all the dirt out of your house. Okay? It's like that with tuning in, meditating. If you do it at the beginning of the day, you're plugging into your power cord, and you are very efficiently going to clean your house. You're very efficiently going to move through life that day because you took the time to plug into your power source. Your power source is your internal world. Okay, your internal world is your chakras, the extension of your source energy in its spiritual form, in energetic form. That's why I'm so big on teaching about the chakras, is because that is the anatomy of your light body. That's the anatomy of your spiritual self. It's the gateway to tuning into the biggest, greatest part of you, the greater part of you that remains non-physical, that has all the answers, that can organize information for you, that knows exactly what to do, that can funnel that general guidance back down into you so that you can feel more grounded, more self-assured, more aligned, and go through life calmer, because you're not scattered about in every different direction, not knowing what to do and freaking out and having this panicked outside of yourself energy. You can go through life feeling assured, grounded, calm, present, aware, guided. It's a wonderful place to be. It's a wonderful way to live your life. And I call that vibrational navigation. So anyways, I hope this helped. I love jumping off of client calls and sharing this type of information with you guys, because this is a general theme that I see in a lot of people. And those are some general analogies that I think are so helpful to take things from a very earthly perspective and simplify them into a general deliverable communication with the way that the universe speaks. The universe, when you tune in, doesn't necessarily speak in words. It speaks in concepts, multidimensional concepts, vibrations, feelings, awarenesses, shifts. Embodiment. Okay. So this will help you communicate with the universe around you better. So I hope this helped you today. Let me know in the comment section if this was helpful for you.